us. And the Ashanti Regional Minister Simon Osei-Mensah says his administration will sternly deal with metropolitan, municipal and district chief executives engaged in illegal mining. This comes after several complaints about the involvement of heads of assemblies in illegal mining in that region. According to the minister, involvement in such activities thwarts efforts to deal with the menace. Mr. Osei-Mensah, who spoke to the media on the sidelines of a tree planting to observe World Earth Day at Lake Bosomtwe, says MMDCEs who show little interest in clamping down on the activities will also be penalized.
The MMDCEs, anybody who engages in activities of illegal mining, will do with the person sternly, because you see, if the president says he's put the presidency on the line to fight against illegal mining, and we are the representative of the president, and we are rather engaging in galamsey, then at least we are not faithful to the president, and we cannot represent the president. If we want to represent the president, then we should do what the president asks us to do, and not to do otherwise. For instance, I'm the chairman of the Regional Security Council. The MMDCs are also the chair of the Metro, Municipal and District Security Councils. So they will have to take action. Once the person takes action, you cannot maybe deal with the person or take sanctions against the person. For instance, I can deal with it today. You know, illegal mining is like people engaging in black marketing. You arrest the person here today, next time he is at the other side, engaging in the black marketing activity. So what their responsibility is to ensure that any time they hear or find out that people are doing illegal mining, once they are the head of the various security councils, they should draw the attention of the police and the military. For the military, they should draw my attention, because military is not under the MMDCs. They are normally under the regional ministers. But the police, the district police commander, in some cases they have even divisional commanders. Then they can draw their attention and then they go for them.
Thank you. You're live on the Pulse with me, Daniel Dazi. There's a lot more coming up on the show. We just received a statement from the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, and it is directed to the public as a directive to suspend reconnaissance and or prospecting activities in all forest reserves across the country. I'm going to read to you some sections of it. It says, whereas the final communique on the National Consultative Dialogue on Small-Scale Mining held at Accra International Conference Center on 14th and 15th April 2021, in paragraph 12, emphatically charged government to take steps to put in place systems that would rigidly apply the law, noting particularly the sanctions or penalties imposed by Act 995 to all those who infringe the law, irrespective of political color or socio-economic status or class. Indeed, the better placed in society who ought to know better should have the most punitive of the penalties applied to them. Now, it also says, whereas the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources has a mandate to ensure the sustainable management and utilization of the nation's lands, forests, and wildlife resources, as well as the efficient management of the mineral resources for socio-economic growth and development, and whereas the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources has taken note of the unfortunate and unlawful practice of some persons and or companies acquiring licenses under the pretext of undertaking reconnaissance and or prospecting in forest reserves, and yet proceed to engage in illegal mining in such forest reserves with its obvious adverse consequences on the environment, the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources hereby directs persons and or all companies engaged in reconnaissance and or prospecting in forest reserves with or without legal authorization to suspend such activities until further notice. Here's where we need to place some emphasis. Whether or not you have legal authorizations, you are to suspend any prospecting and reconnaissance in forest reserves. It says the ministry has further directed the Minerals Commission with immediate effect not to accept, process and or recommend the grant, including renewal and or extension of reconnaissance and prospecting licenses in forest reserves. So first of all, if you have a license, whether you have a license or not, you are not to do any prospecting or reconnaissance. They also say that the Minerals Commission should not grant any further licenses, and it says, for the avoidance of doubt, except as directed by the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources in writing, all activities and operations in respect of any reconnaissance or prospecting licenses in forest reserves are hereby suspended until further notice. It says the Minister for Land and Natural Resources accordingly hereby gives persons and companies engaged in a reconnaissance or prospecting in forest reserves 7 days from the date of the publication of this notice, which is today, to cease their operations and evacuate their equipment accordingly. The Minister has served notice and and requested the various regional security councils to strictly enforce these directives. So I'm going to give you this statement in 3 quick points. First of all, if you are, okay, rather than do that, let me speak to George Mekuduka, who is Deputy Minister Designate for Land and Natural Resources, who has agreed to speak to this matter. First of all, congratulations on your appointment, Mr. Mekuduka.
My brother.
You have to speak up. I said congratulations on your appointment.
Thank you, my brother. I do appreciate it.
So am I speaking to you as Minister Designate, or I'm speaking to you as member of the Mines and Energy Committee of Parliament? Right, let's just go ahead. What does the statement mean?
Which one are you interested?
I think a Deputy Minister Designate is more powerful.
I like that.
What does this statement mean? What are you asking the public to do?
Yes, let's say afternoon to your cherished viewer. And also thank you for the congratulatory message just proffered on me. I cherish it. Yes, this is to indeed to the public. Yes, the government appreciates the effort for Ghanaians making to mining the respective legal concessions designated to them, but not to mine irresponsibly. The minister responsible for lands and natural resources has noticed or indicated that it is clear for us to be mindful of whatever license we seek to acquire. That you acquire a license specifically for a duty you request for. You don't acquire a license and do otherwise. People acquire license to prospect on a designated land or an area. Then they tend to use the prospecting license to mine. And that is the concern of the Minister, Honorable Samuel Abu-Jinapor, and has directly and clearly, outlined that those seeking for an approval to be giving a prospecting license should have acquired the license for the purposes they sought to use the license for. But unfortunately, these or some of these concessionaires acquired the license to do otherwise. And that is why they put a ban on any prospecting license in our respective forests. And this, in a way, going to allow him and his outfit to regularize the sector in terms of acquisition of prospecting licenses.
How long do we expect to see this ban in place?
Depending on how we comply with the kind of advice put out there. If we comply and we get all the database, available, we'll do the regularization and get things running. And the interest of the government is to get mining done responsibly, and that is what we can do it. So he's seeking to get the sector well regularized.
Okay, so I would assume then that it's going to be indefinite until the regularization of the sector is done, as you indicate.
You have put it right, my brother.
Okay. How is the ministry going to enforce this ban, especially after the 7 days grace period, if I can call it that, they've been given for all persons to evacuate their equipment?
Yes, there is a division inspectorate at the Minerals Commission. There is also security apparatus available. So we're going to collaborate with all the agencies that are responsible for protecting our laws to ensure that this order is adhered to.
Now, Mr. Duka, I would direct this to you as well, because you're a member of parliament of an area which heavily depends on mining, basically for its life force. When you stop work like this, are you not affecting legitimate businessmen out there who are doing their work? Are you not punishing them for the wrongs of others who are working illegally?
My brother, the minister and the technocrats investigated this matter extensively before bringing out this publication. And it will interest you to know that most of the prospecting licenses available after going through monitoring and evaluation, we realized that they were not using them for the purposes of which the licenses were acquired. So there was a need, and this is specifically for those mining in the forest zone and not mining in general. So he's not putting a ban on mining in general, but those prospecting in the forest zone. And that is what he's doing. So it is not mining, putting a ban on mining. No.
Just out of curiosity, Mr. Duka, from your investigations in the ministry and from Mr. Jinapo's investigations, about how many companies have you found will be affected by this ban?
I cannot put out the figures because your platform is a very big platform of which you cannot speculate. And unfortunately, I'm not having the document before me, but I can give out the document soon for you to also inform your viewers. So I know whatever you put out there is always credible, and we always trust the credibility of your aspect. So we wouldn't want to speculate at this point in time. So you give me some time to give you the details.
We'll be very grateful, Mr. Duka. We'll be very grateful, Mr. Duka. Before you go, though, there was a news conference held today by the Coalition of La Associations. They have some questions about some encroachment of land. They have differences with the military. Your minister was named specifically, and he was urged to obey or follow some agreements that were made on 27th November. Has this news conference come to the minister's notice? Is the minister going to take any specific action concerning these people's concerns?
As I speak with you, the minister is engaging all the stakeholders. He's called for calm, and he's, in a way, finding solutions to the matter immediately. And I can trust him. He's working at it and abreast of the issues. And I believe very soon all tensions will be calmed.
Right. So will these people have their lands restored to them?
The solution will come out of the deliberation. So I can possibly not give you the outcome now until after the deliberation.
Right. And these deliberations, I assume, are going to continue in that meeting that has been called for tomorrow?
It will continue. You know, we're interested in meeting all stakeholders. We're not going to just put the law, anyhow. We have to engage and to come up with a possible, solution to the matter. So it's not a matter of just sitting somewhere to, in a way, extend your muzzle and say, yes, give it to this one. You have to find out a possible and lasting solution to solve this thing. You know, this matter keeps coming up anytime we have a change of government, a change of, positions here and there. So it's been running as far as the ministry is concerned. And I haven't served on the mines and energy. Sometimes we meet some of these occurrences. So I believe
Right.
The minister, with his experience as a lawyer,
Right.
is going through some of these things, and I believe we will come up with a possible solution to the matter.
Pardon me, sir. I'm simply going on along this tangent because your minister has been in specifically in some of these issues. So I just want to know, out of curiosity, is it true that he mentioned that he would write a letter or have a letter drafted, sending it to the Defense Ministry and asking the military to take certain actions? Did the minister make that statement? Because that is the claim that the Traditional Council, the La trustees are saying, that the minister said he was going to write a letter to the defense minister to ask the military to stop any development on these lands in contention.
So far, I've not seen the minister speculate on any matter. Anything that you want to make officially, he will actually make everything public as he made this publication. So I don't think we can just conjecture on the part of the minister. I believe, take it from me, if he wants to do anything, he wouldn't hesitate to bring it public. And as transparent as he is, I don't think he'll be ready to speculate at any point.
Okay, so we are not in a position of to know or know such.
Not that, but we can conclude on the matter after all meetings with key people involved, and that's what is before me. But apart from that, I don't know anything of writing the letter to announce it. That's not.
George Mekuduka, thank you very much, and congratulations once again on your appointment.